Hello everyone, I'm Swati from Right Scholar Senior Secondary School. So today I'm going to give you an introduction of chapter 1, that is what is psychology. We are not going to study the details of the chapter, but a hint of the chapter which is going to help you a lot. So let's start. There are two questions that must come to your mind, that what psychology means and how it actually originated. So let's find out the answer. Psyche means soul and logos means study. Psychology becomes the study of soul. So what is the definition of psychology? Basically, it's the science of behavior and mind, and it includes the study of conscious and unconscious phenomena as well as feeling and thought. We will later on find out what is conscious and unconscious phenomena. So it is such an academic discipline which has immense scope. And also, if I define formally, it is basically a science that includes mental processes, where we study about mental processes, where we study about experiences and behavior in different contexts. So when we do it, we take help of different biological and social science methods by which we can obtain data systematically, and it makes sense of these data so that they can be organized as a knowledge. Let us try to understand the three terms which are used in the definition. I talked about mental processes, experience, and behavior. So, mental processes comprises of two things, mind and brain. Now, a question arises whether mind and brain are same or there is a difference between them. So as of now, we thought that they both are same, but there lies a difference between mind and brain. Let's find out what is different between them. So brain is a part of the visible, tangible world of the body, and mind is part of the invisible, transcendent world of thought, feeling, attitude, belief, and imagination. So brain is the physical organ which is associated with mind and consciousness, but the mind is not confined to the brain, though they both are interrelated. So we use our mental processes when we think or try to solve a problem, to know or remember something. One level at which these mental processes are reflected is the brain activity. As we think or solve a mathematical problem, our brain activities can be observed using different techniques of brain imaging. However, we cannot say that brain activities and mental processes they are same, but they are interdependent. Mental activities, neural activities are, they overlap each other, but they are not same, they are not identical. Make sure, mind my words, what I'm saying. Mental activities and neural activities depend on each other, but they are not the same thing. Unlike the brain, the mind does not have a physical structure. We cannot locate where mind is, but we can locate where brain is. Mind emerges and evolves as our interaction and experience in the world get organized dynamically in the form of a system which is responsible for the mental processes. So that means mind somehow defines all the mental processes that occur. Brain activities provide important cues as to how our mind functions, but the consciousness of our own experiences and mental processes are much more than brain activities. So whenever we sleep, mental activities go on. We dream, we receive information such as a knock on the door. For example, somebody is calling you. Even if you are asleep, you can get to know about these things. So some psychologists say that we learn and remember. We can learn and we can remember things in our sleep. And I think we all know that yes, we can. So now the question is, the second term I used while defining psychology was experience. So what is experience? Experiences are subjective in nature. We cannot observe or know someone else's experience, though we can make a notion about it, that she must be feeling, her experience is not that good, but we cannot be very sure about somebody's experience. So only the experiencing person can be aware or be conscious of her or his experience. So experiences are embedded in our awareness or consciousness, and experience comes from consciousness. It's about ourselves, it's about how aware we are. Now the third term is behavior. So first of all, what is behavior? It is your response, it's your action, how you respond to things, how you react when we make the activities, when we are engaged in some activities. For example, when something is hurled at you, so your eyes blink in a simple reflex action. We all have studied reflex action in grade 10. So you know that, for example, you touch a hot object, you simply take your hand off from it immediately, in fact. So if I say you are taking an examination, so you can feel that your heart is pounding. You decide to go for a particular movie with a friend. Behaviors may be simple, it can be complex, it can be short, it can be enduring. Behaviors can be overt and they can be covert also. So let us find out what is the difference between them. So overt behavior is what? Overt. That means it is starting from O. They can be outwardly seen, or they can be sensed by somebody. They can be sensed by an observer. Some are internal, or you can say covert. So covert are internal behavior, and a behavior that we show to others are overt behavior. So when you are in a difficult situation, for example, let's say you are playing a game of chess, you almost feel your hand muscles twitching and trying to experiment with the move. All behaviors, covert or overt, are associated. They are triggered by some stimulus in the environment or changes that happen naturally or internally. I'm sure you all know what a stimulus is. So basically, stimulus is any change in your surroundings that that enables you to respond. For example, you are feeling cold. You think of wearing a sweater, you think of taking a blanket, or for example, the example I shared is an external stimulus that triggered the response. An internal stimulus will be like, for example, you're feeling hungry, you're feeling thirsty. Okay, so you may see a tiger and run, or think that there is a tiger and you decide to flee, you decided to run away. So psychologists study behavior as an association between stimulus and response. What is the stimulus? The any object to which any object or any change to which you respond one or the other way. This stimulus, this response can be internal, it can be external. So as you can see in the picture, that overt behavior is external, that you show to others, that can be observed, that is visible by your actions. Covert behavior is your internal disposition. For example, your attitude towards something, your belief for something. Psychology as a discipline comprises of two subjects, two fields, natural science and social science. So when these two disciplines, these two fields come together, they form a basis of psychology. Let's find out how. If I say, you can say that natural science and social science, they are parallel streams working together for psychology. One which makes use of method in physical and biological science, and the other is which involves social and cultural sciences in to study the various psychological and social phenomena. So these are the streams that converge at a point, and they have different ways also. So in the first case, psychology considers itself as a discipline that focuses largely on biological principles that can explain the human behavior. It assumes all the behavioral phenomena that have been discovered if we can collect data systematically under the controlled conditions. So basically the aim of the researcher is to know what is the cause and how it is going to affect the relationship, so that the prediction of the behavior can be made. and it can be controlled also. On the other hand, psychology as a social science focuses on how behavioral phenomena can be explained in terms of interaction, which is taking place between the person, the society he or she is a part of. So each behavioral phenomena is assumed to have multiple causes. Okay, so this is one activity I want you all to do. You need to imagine and visualize yourself in the situations mentioned, and you need to pen down at least three psychological processes that are involved in each situation. You do not need to take help from anywhere, internet, no, no book, no internet. Just think of yourself that when you are in such a situation, what all psychological processes goes on inside you. For example, when you are asked to write an essay for a competition, what all psychological processes happen at a time. Just think about it and write down. Do not manipulate. Whatever comes to your mind, write down and discuss. You can discuss your answers with me. Write down about in your notebook. So when you will open the book, you will open the chapter 1. We have covered a few initial topics. Just try to make notes of it with the help of this PowerPoint and your NCERT book. In case you are not having NCERT, you can download it from Google, the PDF, and take help from it, or you can simply contact me on my number. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.